How's it going, everybody? As stated in the last video in the series, I'm gonna try and make these videos super short and pretty much to the point. The last video was a lot longer just because it was for beginners. So I thought to move forward, the best thing to look at next would be advanced, more advanced flicks. So in this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the musty flick, the 180 backflip flick, the breezy flick, and tornado flick. So probably to get things started, the tornado flick would be the easiest for me to explain. The tornado flick, I'll give an example. It's something like this, where you kind of do a little rotation and then diagonal backflip. So the motion we're going to be doing when doing the tornado flick, we're going to be jumping, giving a little bit of left turn or right turn. So it's going to be like this, or I forgot which way I did it. It's one of those directions. So we're going to do a little bit of turn before we do a diagonal backflip flick. So if you look at my keyboard on the bottom left, I'm going to be jumping, turning a little bit with A, and then S and D. So jump, turn a little bit with A, and then S and D to do that side flip, or back diagonal flip. Sorry, I'm messing up the flicks. So it's gonna look like that. I know that's like a super short to the point explanation, but these are all flicks that, like, the more you sit in training and practice them, you're going to just kind of get the feel for it. So I could sit here and explain and show you examples all day, but it might just overcomplicate it. So one of the important things, of course, to look at when you're doing a flick is the position of the ball on your car. And this is why I love the tornado flick so much, because it's pretty consistent no matter where the ball is on your car. Dependent on where the car is, or the ball is on your car, you can get flicks in different directions. So I can do kind of more forwards. If I have the ball like on the front right, I can kind of flick I can flick the ball more to the forward right, like that. If I have it on the front left, I can kind of flick it to the front left. And the same kind of goes for the backwards. It's more of like the backflip flick we were looking at in the last video. But I think this is why I want to start with this flick. Like I said, it's consistent, and so having the ability to flick this ball no matter where it is pretty much on your car, that's something that makes it really useful in learning and having it as a flick, because you can use it in so many different use cases. And so that is pretty much it for the tornado flick. The next flick I want to go over is the 180 backflip flick. I feel like the 180 backflip flick is the second easiest to learn. I know the tornado flick, once you kind of get that down, it's just second nature. The 180 backflip flick, it's about the same, but it takes a little bit more patience in getting to understand where the placement of the ball is on your hood. But the 180 backflip flick is as easy as it sounds, because it's just a 180 and then a backflip. The 180 backflip flick is only more advanced because of the placement on your car. This flick kind of takes some time in learning where you want the ball. I've found my best luck to kind of be a little, like, almost dead center on my car, but if not, a little bit more forward. So I will have it on let's try like the center of my car. So the center of my car, sometimes I have luck if I'm going slower like that. So if I'm driving without even boost, I can catch up to it easy with the 180 backflip flick. Sometimes if I'm going a little bit faster, I'll have it more forward. I did not mean to backwards diagonal flip. But yeah, when you're driving a little bit more faster and in the forward direction, you might want to have it a little bit more on the front side of your car. And these 180 backflip flips, they can be useful in a bunch of situations because they can actually get some height, so you can get some major pop with them. Depending on when you get the flick. Sometimes, like if you have it more positioned towards the back of your car, you can get it popped a little bit more. I've been doing so many flicks right now that it's like hard for me to focus on the one flick. I'm sorry. So I keep messing up the 180 flick, but it is as simple as I said. So we're gonna have the ball kind of on the front, do a 180 and then backflip into the ball. And this is if you watch the first tutorial, you remember some people get confused why their flicks aren't working because they have the ball on their hood and they're front flipping like this, but the ball isn't really going anywhere. The problem is that it was too centered on the hood of their car. This is one of those where you kind of want it centered on the hood of your car because you're gonna have the ball kind of hovering right above your car the whole time. That time it got out of reach for me. Let's see. See there, when it like hovers right above our car, that's like perfect. That's like the perfect first pop we want. We're kind of setting up the first pop to allow ourselves to have that backflip and hit the ball with the second time around. The next flick I want to look at is probably going to be the musty flick. I would say the musty flick is necessary for the breezy flick, but the musty flick is very hard, and I actually will admit to not using this flick hardly ever because I am extremely inconsistent with it. That was the musty flick, went nowhere. It's not what you would see on any Rocket League clips. Let's see if I can get it better now. I will try and show examples as best as I can for these flicks, but my purpose is kind of to just explain it. So the musty flick is really dependent on the direction of your car. So this may sound confusing when I try and explain it, but you want your car to be past 90 degrees. So what I mean by that is I want the front of your car to be pointing behind where you originally started. So like that. I started looking forward and my car in the end is looking backwards. And so the reason you do that is because if you don't lean past 90 degrees, so if I only go like 45 degrees, if I backflip, it's gonna send me backwards. If I lean forward past 90 degrees like that, it's gonna allow my backflip to carry me forward. So backflips and all flips in general, they kind of rely on the direction of your car. It's the same with the front flip. So if I go past 90 degrees and then front flip, I'm gonna go backwards. If I lean backwards past 90 degrees, I'll go back or forwards. So the musty flick takes advantage of this mechanic because we carry the ball on our hood and we do a past 90 degree flip, a rotation, and then we do a backflip. So this will send the ball forward. And see, you can probably see the reason why I have issues is I flip cancel all the time. I'm so used to flip canceling and no flipping that I tend to have issues with the musty flick because you don't want to always flip cancel with the musty flick. And I'll try to show an example of this because you won't get as much power if I do this. See that I won't get power doing that, but if I get it on my hood and I allow the flip to go through, I'll get a little bit more flick with it. So the next thing about the musty flick, of course, is the positioning of the ball on your car. And this is a flick that really relies on you keeping the ball towards the front side of your car. You are gonna want it on the windshield, if not even further. I would say almost on the actual hood of your car is the best place to have the ball. And you want it so far forward because this is one of those flicks that you need the momentum to be carrying the ball forward before you go into the flick. Of course, like I said, I'm trying to show some examples. That was a good one. But you really want the ball to be almost like not falling off the front of your car, but forward enough on your car that when you jump, it's gonna carry the ball forward because you want the ball to be going forward with your car. You almost want to be moving parallel in the same kind of direction, and you want to match the speed of the ball. And when you match the speed of the ball, just like I did there, you're going to be able to get that flick, and it's not consistent whatsoever. Sometimes you'll get a flick, sometimes you get a wimpy hit, but having the ball forward on your car is going to help you in matching the speed. So we can watch this replay and see where I kind of had it. So it was on the hood of my car, kind of like in between the hood and the windshield. And so having that placement is one of the hardest things about learning the musty flick. But with practice, of course, you kind of get more comfortable in figuring out what position works best for you. So here's one more example. The next flick we're going to be looking at is the Breezy Flick, and I saved the Breezy Flick for last because it makes use of the musty flick, and it's pretty complicated. So if you remember, or if you did watch my last episode, I removed shift from air roll on keyboard and mouse because I felt like it helped in some aspects. The Breezy Flick is definitely one of those aspects that it helped in, because when you are on keyboard and mouse, if you've not heard of the tornado aerial, this is what it looks like. So the tornado aerial is super easy on keyboard and mouse because you have to hold just Q and D once you remove shift from air roll. I know you could probably do it with shift bound still, but I know a lot of people have the habit of holding shift and A, so it would be like shift A and D would be how they do it. The Breezy Flick makes use of this tornado aerial because we're going to jump and hold Q and D. We're going to start, this is how you start off the flick. You jump and immediately hold Q and D. The complex part about the Breezy Flick is we're going to, at some point, stop holding Q and just hold D. And this is something that you need to take into training and practice on your own, because finding that point of where you let go of Q and then just hold D, that's something that takes practice. My best way to explain it is when your front wheels hit this top left side of your screen, so top left, you are going to let go of Q there. So wheels hit top left, I'm just holding D. Wheels hit top left, just holding D. So you're going to have this sort of motion when you're going into the Breezy Flick. You're going to hold Q and D, just D, and then backflip. Hold Q and D, just D, backflip. The point of this flick is to have your car land in a position like that so you can do the musty flick. You're going to want to be aiming down past 90 degrees just like we did in the musty flick, so that way you can make use of the mechanic that when you backflip you can go forward that way. I'm gonna just try and show some examples. This is a flick that I recently learned, and I can honestly say I watched so many tutorials, and although they were helpful, this was something that no matter how good it's explained, you just have to do it on your own. You have to sit and free play. You have to spend the time to figure it out. So I'll try and give an example or two. So as I said, we're gonna jump, hold Q and D, just D, and then backflip. So although I missed the ball, that was like the perfect rotation I had there. So this is one where I kind of messed it up. I didn't even rotate with D enough. I kind of did my jump Q D and then D way too fast. So it was kind of like a side Breezy Flick, but it's still a Breezy Flick nonetheless. I know I didn't get much power, so I'll keep working on trying to get some of the better Breezy Flicks. So let's see. Oh, that one was close. That one was so gross. The Breezy Flick is so hard, and I finally got it down, but now that I'm practicing other flicks, like my mind is just not in the right place. You can see I'm kind of getting the motion right, but the ball placement may not be 100% where it needs to be because I'm losing track of the ball in the air. There we go, that one was perfect. So I jumped back, hold Q and D, and then just D, and then I backflip. So jump, Q, D, just D, backflip. So this flick, like I said, so hard to learn, and it's something you just have to do. You have to sit in training, and you have to practice this motion. You have to keep trying and trying. Once you finally get it down, and you've gotten that one flick, analyze it. Those are the 4 flicks I wanted to look at. Oh damn, I was hoping I'd end it off on a good flick that looked promising. But those are the 4 flicks I want to look at. I may go into some more if I can think of some more to do. Next up, I'll probably be moving on to air dribbles. I know a lot of people that want to see air dribbles tutorials. Ceiling shots would be next, maybe. Maybe I could do ceiling shots and air dribbles together. Who knows? Maybe even flip resets. This is pretty much just an experiment for me. I'm trying to see what people want to see and what would help other people. So if you have any ideas, comments, leave them down below. Constructive criticism, whatever you want, leave it in a comment. If you like the video, give it a like. And if you think that this tutorial helped you and the other tutorials will help you, feel free to subscribe. It's free and it helps me out, and I'd greatly appreciate it. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. Good luck in learning the flicks.